Jesus Christ. I don't know what is going on with this microphone, but anyway, you know, it wasn't working. Welcome back to my Let's Play of LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga. Last time we concluded Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. Now it is time for Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, the last of the original trilogy. And let's just get on with it. It's the first level, and this is actually one of the longest levels in the game. Oh boy! Episode 6, Return of the Jedi. Chapter 1, Jabba's Palace. Thankfully, it's not quite as long as Retake Theed Palace. And yeah, it's just the Return of the Jedi opening crawl. Luke Skywalker has returned to his home planet of Tatooine in an attempt to rescue his friend Han Solo from the clutches of the vile gangster Jabba the Hutt. Little does Luke know that the Galactic Empire has secretly begun construction on a new armoured space station, even more powerful than the first dreaded Death Star. When completed, this ultimate weapon will spell certain doom for the small band of rebels struggling to restore freedom to the galaxy. It's like the microphones didn't say it didn't, or at least the software just didn't save like the last minute and a half of the previous part. So I had to sort of just bust in and rant about what was going on because it then didn't want to record me just speaking for like a minute and a half over that final bit of footage. I don't know what was going. Oh look, there's nothing sucking them out. There should be no air in that hangar. They are defying gravity and breathing in space. But they can do it perfectly fine. But if Leia does it, no, it's terrible. She's not allowed to defy physics, but they're allowed to show it in every other previous Star Wars film. And I love this part. Anyway, this is how this guy begins crying. Hey Darth, got any bags or did you leave Mrs. Vader at home? What, it's you? Are we already out of our own characters? What? How's the construction going? Oh, fantastic. No, Misa Jabba, no. Why can I see through the little thing at the end? Anyway. Oh no, Jabba's cat escaped. Hang on, I thought Chewie... Well, this is something I never understood. What is going on at the beginning of Episode 6? Like, we saw Chewie leave with Lando at the end of Episode 5. Supposedly, much like... how A New Hope is supposed to, A New Hope, Empire Strikes Back takes place about 3 years after A New Hope. I still question how Star Wars has years, but anyway, this takes place a year later. So what have Lando and Chewie been doing? Lando has just been in that palace guard disguise all this time. Nobody has noticed apparently, or something like that. And somehow Chewie ended up with Leia again, despite the fact that it's supposed to be a year later and they never returned from this place. And we'll criticise The Last Jedi. You know, there's a plot hole for you right here. Oh no, I guess actually it's a Star Wars, so that's now about 200 plot holes. Because that's how it works. Now here's a question. Luke is now a Jedi Knight. Who's he been training with? Because the dialogue clearly states that he hasn't spoken to Obi-Wan since... speaking to him last time he was on Dagobah. He hasn't seen Yoda since he was last on Dagobah. So how does it work? Who has Luke been training with, or has he been doing it himself? I really need to remember to turn this damn thing off. I really wish I didn't have to. All these questions that are completely ignored. I missed the other one, damn. And yet are huge issues in The Last Jedi. But then again, in The Last Jedi, people will go as far as to say the acting is bad. Or that the cinematography is bad, when that clearly isn't the case. Right, here's the idea of what you want to do here. I can build this. And now that will start... Actually, it does play the music. And it would sound really weird if it didn't, I guess. But you need to close these things down to stop the guard guys coming out. Yes, I... calling them guard guys. It only lasts... Well, if you stand there, I think it lasts forever. But it's like when you go a certain distance, it does cut out after a while. Like, it isn't playing now. So these guys will come back and attack me now. And these guys can deflect your... well, I don't know if they deflect the shots or they just hold them back. kind of like lightsabers. Problem is, when they do the third attack, the axe is so heavy, it sort of like gets stuck for a while, I guess. They can't lift it up. So after they've done their third attack, assuming they do it, that's when they're open. You can just go in and attack them then. I think there's another one. Yeah, there's another one just through here. These are the guys we actually see Luke force choke. Or force choke a guard that's doing his job. He doesn't kill it, I don't think, but still, we see him force choke him. But anyway, we're now in Jabba's palace, going to rescue Han Solo. But you know what, let's continue with the rant, shall we? The rants and comparisons. What does this scene have to do with anything in Return of the Jedi? This is another one I don't get. People hate the casino stuff and all of the Finn and Rose stuff. Yeah, it doesn't accomplish anything in terms of story, no, but barely any of this accomplishes anything in story as well. But this has been perfectly fine. Aside from rescuing Han, which they do in like the first 5 minutes, well, not the first 10 minutes, let's say. That's it. When Leia comes in, she releases him. That's it. Han is somewhat rescued. So why didn't they just go in with a whole army of rebels and just force Jabba to hand over Han? Yes, some of them do have weapons in there, the other bounty hunters and everything. But this is a whole rebellion. I'm sure they can just force Jabba to hand over Han. So why do we need to have that whole scene? I don't know how long the Jabba the Hutt storyline goes on for. I haven't timed it. But it is a very long scene that really doesn't accomplish anything in terms of the overall story. Like, we have the opening where we have the opening with Darth Vader, told the Emperor's coming, and then we don't see anything of the Emperor for ages. We have nothing. Oh yeah, I forgot you can throw them in this game. I don't think you can do this in Lego Star Wars 2. Ah, that does that automatically now. Anyway, this storyline here, it doesn't accomplish anything other than rescuing Han, and they could have just forced Jabba to hand him over. You know, if I can criticize this all I want, it's not stopping other people from doing it in The Last Jedi. You know, that is a plot hole. And I'm not saying The Last Jedi doesn't have any. You know, I still question why don't the First Order just overtake the rebel ships? If the shields are at the back, all they need to do is just move around the front. Why did Luke leave the map? They may try and go into that somewhere. There's a power brick up here. I don't know why hitting that switch makes that appear, but anyway. And why doesn't Holdo tell anybody that her plan is to rescue everybody, to get them to a sanctuary? You know, that would be a really useful piece of information to tell them. And it won't cause a mutiny. You know, it's a very obvious thing that you could do, is just tell them and relieve them. But no, you know, you can't tell them that, and it causes a mutiny. You know, those are the legitimate plot holes. They're also the only plot holes of a film that supposedly has hundreds of plot holes, which the film isn't even long enough to do. I know it's the longest Star Wars film, but it isn't long enough to cause hundreds of plot holes, you know. Again, if you're going to criticize the film for being stupid, don't come up with stupid stuff. Otherwise, it is completely invalid to the argument. And yeah, Luke has that glove. I assume it's a glove. It's an actual robot in The Last Jedi. He needs to put this mask on in order to use the bounty hunter things. I'm not sure what this version... What is that pronounced as? Bausch. Boosh. I don't know how you pronounce that. You know, somehow she can speak another language. They never explain that. It's, you know what else they never explain? Why Jabba needs a translator when he is perfectly capable of understanding English. In fact, 3PO translates what Leia says in the other language in English. And he got in my freaking way. Yeah, by the way, I gotta get the helmet, man. The helmet will allow any character that's wearing it to throw the thermal detonators. But, I lost track of what I was saying now. Yeah, 3PO still translates it in English. He also has to translate the stuff Jabba says in Huttese into English, which is then what he says to Leia in the disguise. I don't get it. Why is the translation all in English when neither of them are speaking English? It makes no sense. But nobody criticizes that. It's all so stupid. Anyway, thermal detonators. You don't want to get too close to them. They're... Okay. Thermal detonators are something that every... Ow. At least that deactivated it. They're something that every bounty hunter character can use. And there are a number of them in the game. Some of them are robots. And we see most of them in very briefly in Empire Strikes Back. I'm not sure how you pronounce them. I know there's IG-88. There's like 4 LOM or something like that. You have that lizard. I believe it's Bosk. And I think there's at least one more, but I'm not sure who it is. They're all droids. So they can jump, though. They're not like battle droids that can't jump. They can use the grapple hooks, unlike the battle droids. And they all have thermal detonators. There's the 4 LOM. He can also use any kind of droid panel. He can use the protocol ones and the astromech ones, somehow. As well as the bounty hunter ones. The only one he can't use is the stormtrooper one. Right, so you want to stand on this. Someone that isn't Luke. So you can get up here. And then Luke tends to jump onto that all the time. I don't know why. It isn't going to help him anyway. And then when you come down here, that is where the door just randomly opens. So those guards actually prisoners. Yeah, Chewie actually does jump on the lever to put it down. Now, every time you come back in... well, anytime you're not in the actual level... That's completely the wrong way of saying it. Anytime you're playing as Leia, this version of Leia, outside of this level, or if you're in free play mode, she will always have that bounty hunter thing on by default. I really don't know why. This only in story mode do we ever see what she looks. Do we ever see her actual face? Because she will always wear the helmet. And I don't know why that is. But she will always wear the helmet. Even if you come back into this level in free play mode. If you're playing as her in the hub world or any other level. She will always wear the helmet. Only in story mode is when we can see her face, and it's such a weird way of doing it. I find it so odd. Because when you look at her character profile, I'm not sure if it still does it in the complete saga, but in LEGO Star Wars 2, that little character icon that she has, like that will also always have the mask on. I think it does anyway, but when you're playing like in the hub worlds and everything, when you see it loading into the hub world, like you've been playing as her in the previous level and you're going back to the hub world, it will just show her regular image with her face, and then right as they're moving away, because it's the end of the loading screen, the mask will come back on. It just randomly pops back on. It's so weird, and I don't know why they did that. It's a really, really weird thing to do. As far as I'm aware, there's no way of killing these things. You can just ride them. Which is kind of funny to watch when Luke does it. Because he just puts his hands together. Whoa, okay. I was gonna say, those things in LEGO Star Wars 2, they do fall down. Yeah, okay. In LEGO Star Wars 2, you don't even need to touch them. You just got to be in the proximity to them. But I get on the plus side though, when she is wearing that helmet or mask, whatever it is, she is able to just throw the thermal detonators at will. For some reason, you need to wear this mask in order to suddenly gain thermal detonators, which look very different to how they do in the film, where it's just a ball. Here it's very pointy. That was incorrect. I don't want to use that. But thermal detonators can stick to any of these shiny metallic objects that we've been seeing all over the place. You can either just wait for them to explode, or you can just activate, or you can just blow them up at will. Just hit the button again and it will explode instantly. At least I think that's what you can do. Yeah, you can. I was like, just to make sure, but I'm pretty sure that's what you can do. Unfortunately, it is the same button that's used to interact with things. Right, so I'm making some switches. Remember Mario 64 in Hazy Maze Cave? Oh yeah, I gotta build it first. Where you could control the direction of that platform, depending on where you stood. I think that was Hazy Maze Cave anyway, but whatever level it was, it exists here too. This is how we got to get R2 and 3PO, even though I thought R2 ended up working on Jabba's barge and 3PO should be right next to Jabba, but anyway. We instead have to rescue them like this. Really weird way of doing it. Well, it's not a really weird way of doing it. It makes sense in that in gameplay wise. Just a bit of a weird way of going through the story. There are a few things that they had to change up here as a result of this. For instance, Luke and Leia are all here together, instead of Luke coming in later for some odd reason. Oh, that thing is so close. So we got another one of these to build. Yeah, Jabba's Palace is quite a long level. This is I'd say we're just over halfway through it, and yeah, you can you do get studs for blowing it back up again. Only the first time though. Really weird that it does that. And then Lego Style C, you always got like one silver stud. I don't know why you can do that, but you can. I just find it funny that they're playing their axes like guitars. R2. So these stone doors are still activated using electrical panels. That sounds really weird. I'm going to say weird a lot in this part, aren't I? Yeah, that's not how you're supposed to get up there, but you can get up there. But it looks like it did something a bit different. Because when I was practicing this in Lego Star Wars 2, I could pull that thing down from up on that wall, and then Luke could get across it like that. It's working now. Maybe you ought to build that one first. I don't know, it doesn't matter. So let's use that so we don't have to keep pushing the things around with a load of guards coming down. Oh! I was expecting that to stop and then start beeping. I was able to hold on to the helmet for a good while though. But yeah, this is quite a long level. I never liked Jabba's Palace. I never found it to be a very interesting level. Yeah, I don't know why. Maybe it's because you just constantly having to use the thermal detonators and the bounty hunter panels. Maybe it's because you're generally just fighting the one kind of enemy. But that could be said for most levels, so I don't know. I just never... Maybe it's because everything is sand. We all know I don't like sand. It's rough and coarse and irritating and it gets everywhere. I don't know, I just never found this. I've never found this level or the next one to be that interesting. The next one is better, but that's probably just because it's a little bit shorter. But I never found either of these levels to be that interesting. Episode 6 as a whole does have fairly lengthy levels. But the third one is not that long, as long as you're just going straight for it. And if you're trying to collect everything, or getting the studs, the mini kits and everything, then the level can last quite a while. But otherwise, it isn't that long of a level. The fourth one, on the other hand, is one of the biggest in the game. It's quite the long one. And then we have the fifth one is mainly a boss fight. The sixth one is another flying level. So, yeah, episode 6 is definitely has longer levels, I would say, and generally are a bit more difficult. Which, you know, isn't that great when you know, the levels can be... as long as you've played the first episode, the first chapter of whichever the first episode available is, whether it's The Phantom Menace or A New Hope. You can then play the game in any order you want. I mean, it's a bit weird that somebody would play the first level in episode 4 and then move straight to episode 6. It's a bit weird. It's a bit of a strange way of doing it. I'll stop saying weird. But you can do it that way. It just means that when it comes to Return of the Jedi, things are going to be a bit more difficult. And I would say it's the same way in LEGO Star Wars 1 with Revenge of the Sith. Because many of the levels are longer, you're fighting a lot more enemies. And generally it is largely just around one level. Like in Revenge of the Sith's case, it's mainly because of Defense of Kashyyyk. In Return of the Jedi's case, this one's not exactly hard, it's just lengthy. But then you have levels like the fourth level, which, spoiler warning, is called the Battle of Endor. Probably guess what the level's all about. And that one is quite challenging. By comparison, you know, it's still LEGO Star Wars 2 difficulty. Which isn't very much, which isn't very high, but it's still quite a difficult level by LEGO Star Wars 2 standards, so by LEGO Star Wars standards. Right, there is a few things you can go around doing in there. I'm not going to bother. We're just going to get this over with. And despite what the cutscene shows, you can actually do this as any character. Oh, well, these guys are supposed to... Oh, they changed it. Okay. Well, what's the point of having the radio there, then? In LEGO Star Wars 2, that radio, or whatever it is, that music player, would keep playing the music as you entered this room. What's the point of having it there if you're going to deactivate that? Why are they so shiny in a dark room? Well, you are smothering me and I need my space. Also, we were Luke a moment ago. How are we suddenly Leia? Oh my god! Alec Baldwin! That is probably my favourite line in that entire trilogy. I love that line. You had a lightsaber with you a moment ago, Luke. Again, in the film, Luke, for some reason, doesn't have his lightsaber with him. It's inside R2. It's never explained why Luke doesn't just carry his lightsaber around with him all the time. And then he doesn't have it by the power of cutscene, but he does have it by the power of gameplay. Come on, Rancor. I think this guy's just trying to follow 3PO. Luckily, he gets stuck. So the first thing we got to do is just destroy this thing once Han gets out of the way. I think it happens here as well. You can destroy that, or maybe they fixed it, I don't know. As long as you destroyed one of them at any time, the moment the Rancor walks over here, walks over to where he'll eat it. I don't know what it's called, like the Gamorrean Guard or something like Ganon. Let's just call it axe-wielding Ganon. It will automatically take damage. Yeah, like that. See, what was that? Why does it do that? That's such a weird thing to do. I said weird again. You know what? I stand by it. Why does it do that? That is such an unusual thing. There is no reason for it to do that. It just does that. That is a really weird bit of programming that they didn't fix either. Also, you can control Han Solo in his, well, it's his Hoth outfit without the blue coat over it. That's it. It's known as Han Solo's skiff. Don't know what that means, but it's Han Solo's skiff. And I thought it was only Luke that fought this thing. I mean, I know they got to add it in for the multiplayer, but even then, there's 5 of them, not 2. I always found it weird. They also swapped around Jabba's dialogue there. I don't know what it is he's actually saying. It sounds like he goes, "Oon dog." They swaps it round. See, I'm a Star Wars nerd. I'm just an actual one, not a fake one. It's like... that looks... I don't know what's going on there, but... in the film he goes, "Ah! Oon dog." No, in the game he does that. It's the other way around in the film. And yeah, Luke's Jedi image there is really dark for some reason. That only happens in the complete saga. I forgot about that. It's really dark. I don't know why. It's just like that. It's just really dark. That's the only image it happens on. We are 27 minutes. Let's hope to God that the recording... Well, I mean, the actual video is fine. It's the audio I gotta watch out for. Oh, come on. One more. Right. Well, let's see what happens. We have to... Still dealing with Jabba the Hutt. 2/3 of this episode, gameplay-wise in LEGO Star Wars, is made up of the story that doesn't accomplish Hutt very much. So, next time we're gonna be heading to the Sarlacc pit in the Great Pit of Carkoon. Why it has 2 names, I'm not sure. So, I will see you guys then.